Are you wanting to become a YouTuber for fun or for profit? Then check out the amazing Blue Yeti microphone today. Affiliate link in the video description. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and oh my god, okay, so over the course of the past, few days, Evergreen State University has been this powder keg, this point of contention for students versus faculty all over one professor at a very, 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 very liberal college in Washington. Saying that, you know what, it's probably not cool to kick off white people and white faculty from the campus on one day. That's just not right. I don't agree with that. I oppose it, and this is my formal opposition to it. And as a result of this, even though it was weeks later, the result was, oh my god, you racist! You're so racist! Fire! Not only that, way more demands. In fact, you guys can find many, many, many videos of the incidents of this particular situation floating around the internet, and holy crap. There's even a video posted on Campus Reform showing that early on in the protests, students, for all intents and purposes, effectively barricaded the administration in the president's office, and without necessarily saying it to a term that might be viewed as kidnapping, or taking someone hostage. They were like, don't let them leave, but we'll provide food and water. And the faculty seemed relatively okay with it. Now, I don't know if that's because they don't want to anger the students. I don't know if that's because they don't want to anger the mob, or I don't know if it's just because they don't have a fucking backbone. But now, at the end of the week, right, after the school has been closed due to threats of violence, never mind the fact that the professor, Bret Weinstein, was also told not to go to campus because of the potential threats of violence. And there is a relatively decent-sized Antifa group here in Olympia, Washington, which is where I live. I'm not far from that college myself. And so now we're seeing the faculty issue a statement, and it's a statement of solidarity. And yeah, they're basically giving in to the demands of the protesters. And let's take a look at this here, shall we? So saying here, June 2nd, 2017, as Evergreen faculty members, we acknowledge that all of us who have power within the institution share responsibility for the racist actions of others. Furthermore, those of us who are white bear a particularly large share of that responsibility. Oh, God. This is going to be a fun one here. We acknowledge that we have a great deal of work to do in order to honor and live up to the demands made by student leaders during this last week's protest. And then they link over to the Cooper Point Journal, which shows these demands. And I'm not going to go through all of them here, but it says, we demand that no changes to the student code of conduct be made without democratic student consent. That's one I actually kind of agree with. I think that students should have a say in that. So that's one I'm okay with. We demand that Officer Timothy Odell be fired, suspended during the investigation. We demand he be fired if he is guilty of using excessive force and aggression when responding to student protesting. This is when they originally went to Bret Weinstein's class, the 50 students or so. The officer was called and he started kind of shoving kids out of the way. And they're saying here, Odell started violently pushing through students who were trying to protect black students. Yeah, okay. Odell was asked to stop, although was asked to stopped. There's a typo there. And students expressed that they weren't dangerous. Odell refused to listen. Odell continued to knock students over in an attempt to reach the black students. Odell was targeting people of color. And given how things are and the fact that the president of the college has told the campus police who report to him to stand down during this incident, shows you that Odell probably will be fired. Then they also demand the immediate firing of Andrea Sebastian Olson, the assistant to the vice president for student conduct. We request that no transfer happen but a complete removal. She has shown a consistent, often violent flaw in judgment when it pertains to the needs and safety of black students, students of color, trans students, students with disabilities, and then we demand no expansion of police facilities or services at any point in the future. But yet, threats of violence have been made. Students are holding administrators hostage, effectively. And yet, no, we don't want any more cops coming in here because that would do away with the plans to ever do this again if we feel that we're not being given proper access to nap time, because that's what these kids fucking need. We demand the creation of an equity center on the 4th floor of the library building. We demand a remodel that will accommodate students who have movable walls for causing spaces. or caucusing spaces, sorry. This equity center must be fully staffed and have an assistant director, innovative program coordinator, case manager, and student advisors. We demand the equity center have its own budget and be connected to the new VP/VP for equity and inclusion. So yeah, they want a safe space. They want a place to go hang out. Like that's what they want. This is what's happening on college campuses. Let's see here. Okay. We demand a creation of permanent position that will support undocumented students. The position, okay. We demand that the video created for the day of absence and the day of presence that was stolen by white supremacists and edited to expose and ridicule students and staff be taken down by the administration this Friday. I haven't seen that video, but that's funnier than shit. And then it just goes on. Again, it says here, we demand that Officer Timothy Odell be fired and suspended without play, which is something they've already said earlier on. And then we demand the immediate firing of Andrea Siebert Olson. And then, they basically just, they listed their demands and then they recapped their demands at the end. University kids, man. But here's the thing. We demand Bret Weinstein be suspended immediately without pay, but all students receive full credit. Right? So that's what they want. They want him fired. Because we've seen videos of this too. We've seen them want to not have to be penalized for turning in homework late right now. We've seen them say they want him fired and they want to get full credit. So, they want all of these things and they're not willing to learn, and the faculty is essentially going to give in to them. So now that we have a kind of a brief overview of what they want, which is all horseshit, the faculty again has bent over just to take it, no lube. We acknowledge that students of color and others who are underrepresented and undeserved have been voicing their demands to us for some time through the Students of Color Focus Group in 2014, through their participation in authoring the Strategic Equity Plan in November and Cooper Point Journal coverage, for example, and we have not truly listened and acted. Because usually when the demands of people are utterly ridiculous, you just kind of point and go, get back to class. Because you're there to teach them. You're there to guide their life and give in to every whim. You are not their mommy and their daddy. You are people who engage in academia. You are there to shape and mold young minds in order to then go out into the world and then make their own way. You are not going to be able to give them the proper education and tools they need to survive in the woods with this kind of nonsense. All you're doing is creating a mindset of entitlement that people are going to use as a way to get themselves in more situations like this because they were never told no as a child, a young adult, an adolescent, and a college student. Jesus. We acknowledge the students' right to protest and affirm President Bridges' recent decision not to use the misguided language of the current Student Conduct Code to punish the protesters. Yeah, because fuck it, rules are out. We vehemently reject the claim that students have been violent simply because they have been loud and emphatic. There is a difference between exercising the right to freely voice an opinion and inciting violence, and that difference has nothing to do with the volume or forcefulness. We support the demands made by students and honor the positive institutional change they've already achieved through their protests. So barring the faculty from leaving the principal's office is not a form of violence to an extent. Okay. Have you guys all been checking what you're drinking over there? I mean, I know it's the Evergreen State University. You guys are called the Greeners for a reason. Pot's legal here. Stop doing that and actually pay the fuck attention for once. Our most urgent demands... Oh, they have demands. That ought to be fun. Center on the safety of those individuals who are currently most at risk. At the same time, we acknowledge that in the weeks and months to come, our attention will need to turn to the larger structural issues students have identified. In solidarity with students, we commit ourselves to participating actively and self-critically in the annual mandatory training specified in the Memorandum of Understanding recently signed by the UFE and management bargaining teams. Holding each other accountable when we act in racist ways against our colleagues or our students. Not everything is racist. That's the biggest thing I think people at that school need to realize. I've seen so many videos where they're just like, you disagreed with me, that's racist. You're talking over me, that's racist, even though they were engaged in a back and forth and the person was shouting over the other person first, but it doesn't matter. The racist argument is that immediate shutdown. It's like sexist or misogynistic callback. It's like, you're being racist. It's shutting down the argument. And then they want to, you know, the teachers here are just like, yeah, we're going to acknowledge that it was our fault to begin with. Yeah, because, you know, clearly we have no spine. Let's see. Holding President Bridges accountable to the promises he made at the all-campus forum on May 26th and to the processes of outgoing dialogue with student leaders. Actively supporting the strategic plan put forward by the Equity and Inclusion Council, including providing substantive support to the Vice President and Vice Provost of Equity and Inclusion tasked with implementing it and extending their work. So they're creating a whole new thing, bringing in this vice president of this Equity and Inclusion Council, which is basically going to act as the arbiters of what's allowed on campus in order to appeal to the certain demographics that are being the loudest right now. You know what they say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And these people are absolutely acting like this squeaky wheel. In solidarity with students, we call for the Evergreen administration to, now this ought to be good, center student perspectives in a persistent media approach to counter with the alt-right narratives that are demonizing Evergreen and the day of absence specifically. Just because you disagree with the day of absence does not mean it's an alt-right narrative. I am a libertarian / progressive fluid motherfucker in that regard, and even I think that's ridiculous. You don't solve racism by booting people off a fucking campus. The original idea of the day of absence were that students of color voluntarily chose to leave. They voluntarily chose to leave. The way that it was working this year was that they wanted to reverse that. They wanted the white people to leave. So the white people who had paid to be there or were being paid to teach there were being told to leave the campus for the day, instead of people who had been previously voluntarily leaving. So that's why Bret Weinstein stood up and said no, because this is stupid. Right? This is a dude who is a huge fucking liberal, a huge progressive. He wants to talk about these issues, but he's like, wait, this is stupid. And he said no. That's what it was. He said no. And these kids, because they've never heard that word before, they lost their collective shit. Goes on to say, take seriously the threats made to individual community members and use all available institutional resources to protect them. I do agree with that. And threats and violence do not have a place in civilized discussion. Demonstrate accountability by pursuing a disciplinary investigation against Bret Weinstein. According to guidelines in the Social Contract and Faculty Handbook, Weinstein has endangered faculty, staff, and students, making them targets of white supremacist backlash by promulgating misinformation in public emails, on national television and news outlets, and on social media. So this dude disagreed with a very racist thing, said no, it ain't going to happen, was therefore called a racist, had his life threatened, his job threatened, police told him not to go to school. He's upset at the fact that the faculty is not defending him, they're not backing him, they're kowtowing like spineless little cunts that they are to the fucking masses that are just trying to get whatever the hell they can get, like passing grades, without actually doing the fucking work. Because let's be fair here, that's a lot of this. And then going out there and telling people, because no liberal outlet's going to be covering this, MSNBC isn't covering this, CNN isn't covering this, fucking none of those people are covering this. Tucker Carlson covered it. And you know it's bad when a liberal's got to go to a conservative media outlet to get help, because there's a lot of shit going down. This is the problem with the left eating the left. You have allowed these kind of mentalities to run for so long that they just go unchecked. And then if people get offended and upset at the littlest thing, and they demand things to change. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. But you're still going to push it because you got no spine. You're literally cowards. That's what this entire thing is. You are cowards. And will not stand up and actually say, no. There is a civil decorum that has to take place. If you want to debate, we'll debate these issues. We'll discuss these issues. We'll come to a common consensus. We will compromise, and we will do it in a very democratic and open fashion. But instead, it's we want it our way. We want it now. We want it yesterday. We're entitled, God damn it. And that's the mindset you fucking allowed to fucking propagate. So no, this shit's bullshit. You want people to go against Bret Weinstein for saying, no, I disagree with this racist segregatory act that's not being presented as a voluntary one. It's mandatory segregation is effectively what the day of absence is. And we're dealing with a time right now where people are trying to self-fucking segregate. There is so much regressive attitudes that are happening right now. It's even insane to think that the 1964 civil rights movement even happened in the goddamn first place. When I'm getting worked up because this shit is just ridiculous. I am embarrassed that I live close by to this fucking college. I am embarrassed for the people that go there that don't want to be involved with this shit, but have no fucking choice. But it finishes up here. We are angry, frustrated, and concerned. Yeah, you ain't the only one, fuckers. We also believe, however, that if a college can muster a meaningful collective response to recent events, this can be a powerful level for growth in the student numbers, success, and equity, and for future institutional change. We urge the administration not to lead with fear or a desire to suppress students' voices. We urge them to let the energy and clarity of these voices carry us forward. And they finish it up with all of these people that have signed it. This all faculty members that have effectively just thrown Jordan Peterson under, or not Jordan Peterson, sorry, wrong person, Bret Weinstein under the goddamn bus. All because we don't want to be seen as racist. You're not racist if you tell someone I disagree with this. You're not racist if you tell someone I disagree with kicking white people off of campus, because that feels like mandatory segregation, and we've evolved past that. You can't sit there and say you want equality and then not give it in return. These are the fucking facets of like society that we've grown into. But no, for some reason, because it's all about entitlement, it's all about everything. It's all about you. And I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. But here's what really cracks me up. These fucking faculty members that signed this letter, these people that signed away any kind of shred of integrity they had left, they don't realize one key factor that they are super overlooking, or they're just ignorant to understand. But I want to bring back the whole idea there of Missouri, right? Mizzou, University of Missouri, right? Fall 2015. The student-led protest that basically resulted in the ousting of the dean of the college, and a number of other bullshit, all about talking about perceived institutionalized racism on the campus, and everyone kind of pointing and laughing at the fact that that ain't the fucking case. And at the end of the day, you know what happened by all this shit going down? You know what happened by this kind of national media coverage? Missouri has lost enough students where they've had to shut down 3 dorms. It's cost them over $20 million in tuition. It's cost them multiple students transferring out the next year, saying, I am done with this shit. They've noticed that they have lost students to the point where they're begging kids to go there now. Their alumni have stopped donating money. This is what's happening, Evergreen. This is not... You think that by giving in to the demands of these people that are upset over someone saying, I disagree with your racist attitude, and trying to use it as a way to garner some kind of pass on homework and on everything else, on grades, is going to work out for you in the long run? It's not. It's not. You're not going to see an increase in student numbers. You're not going to see an increase in money. You're not going to see an increase in anything, because all this does, and it's the same idea that happens when you work customer service, right? Now, customer service is a hard thing to do sometimes, because you might come across someone who feels entitled, someone who feels whiny about something, right? And you want to help them. You do. You want to help them. It's your job to help them. But then the more that you try to help them, the more entitled they get, right? And then you go, well, I can give you this. They go, that's not enough. I want more. I want more. And if you don't give me more, I'm going to make you give me more. I'm going to cause such a fucking scene that the entire place is going to know that you can't do your job, that you can't do what you need to do, and that I, the customer, am always right. And that is a very, very accurate representation of a lot of the entitled mindset of being a person in customer service. But here's the thing. You kowtow to that person, you give them what they want, no matter how loud or angry they get, because they know once they got you on that hook, they got you. They can ask for the moon and you'll give it to them if it makes things go away or makes things calm down, because you don't want to put your foot down and tell them, no, stop it, you're being a cunt. When that happens, everyone else sees that you have no control over your establishment. You have no control over how to deal with people. You're going to let them walk all over you. You have no spine. You are a coward. You're afraid of controversy. You're afraid of conflict. You don't want to deal with it because that is the mindset that people like the person, the entitled asshole in your face, pushes upon you. And you're afraid of the backlash, of the negative backlash. If you don't believe me, faculty of Evergreen State University, read your own fucking letter of solidarity. This is you bending over backwards because you don't want to be seen as the bad guy. And as a result of that, it proves you have zero control over your college. You have zero control over anything that goes on there. And it's only going to hurt you in the long run. Whereas if you were to stand up to that person and say, no, this is what you're going to get, or you're not going to get anything now, and you tell them no, and you boot them out, it doesn't matter if they yell and scream and kick on their way out the damn door. Anyone else who's there that watched the whole situation go down, and they watched how you handled it, and you watched how you did not give in to the demands of someone who's being entitled and doesn't deserve it, they are going to respect you greater as a result. If Missouri had stood up and said no to the demands of these students, instead of kowtowing around it and giving in to some of the demands and letting it go on like it did, they would not be in the dire straits they are right now. Use that as a word of warning, as a story of caution for what you guys do going forward. Because it's only going to get worse, and you're only going to get further hit by these situations. Anyway, I have rambled on about this long the fuck enough. What do you guys think, though? I want to know if you guys made it to the end of this video. Press 1 in the comments if you guys made it to the end. Also, if you guys liked the video, toss it a thumbs up. Be sure to leave me a comment below. Subscribe to the channel. Check back daily for more content from me. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. I'm sorry to all of you normie students at Evergreen. I'm sorry you have to deal with this shit. And hopefully your school will get back to normal and the craziness will subside. If not, South Puget Sound Community College is right down the road. You might have better luck there. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Peace out.